Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite fishing lures, the Wacky rig. While this thing catches fish literally everywhere I go, there are some sneaky tricks that I learned over the years that I'm going to show you today so you can catch even more fish while you're fishing with this bait. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. So I figure there's no better way to tell you these tricks than to actually show you them in action catching some fish. So we're going to get to fishing the Wacky rig right here and show you how I'm doing it, some of my 3 different little tricks that I employ to catch more fish with the Wacky rig. The first thing you're gonna notice is I'm gonna use heavier gear than pretty much everybody else, and I'm gonna put my Wacky rig in places that people wouldn't dare to put theirs. And I'm gonna lose some fish, there's no doubt about it. I'll break some off, they'll come off because I can't get a good hook set, whatever the reason might be. But I also assure you I'll probably get more bites than other people too. And at the end of the day, that will lead to more fish in the boat. One just blew up on a piece of bait right behind me. I'm gonna see if I can catch it. Throw my bait right over there. We're gonna see if she'll bite. I mean, it's over top of lily pads, wood, everything back there. We'll see if we can get her to bite. Oh, she might have just ate it. Yep. Look at this. She is stuck in these lily pads. I'm just gonna grind her right through. Oh, that was perfect. I couldn't have planned that any better. I didn't plan that. That fish just cooperated for me, but look at this. Still got her in the boat. Straight through all that stuff back there. See that right there? I literally threw my bait all the way over there and she ate it way back there, and I got her in the boat. So what you also notice, see that hook right there? We're gonna talk about that in just a second, but see how that gets behind their jawbone? That is also the reason those fish stay on. See how that ripped a hole in its mouth? That fish still stayed on even with that on there. If I would have gave it a loss of pressure, that fish would have come off. But also if I had a very small shanked hook, that fish would have been hooked up here in this harder piece and probably would have came off a lot easier. Not a giant, we're gonna throw her back and hopefully catch us some more. That was pretty easy. I didn't expect it to go that easy. It's been a tough day of fishing, and that's why we're talking about the Wacky rig, because it's a great bait to catch fish when they don't want to bite. Like I was saying, I have heavier gear on here. So this is my Cash and Icon spinning rod right here, but this is the 7.2 medium heavy fast. This thing has some meat to it. You can see it's got a little bit of a tip so I can make accurate casts, skip very well, but that shuts off fast so I can set the hook and get these fish out. And then I have 15-pound test lime green braid on here, down to a 10-pound test fluorocarbon leader today. I could even go to 12, but I don't have any in the boat with me. This stuff's pretty thick. Like I said, I'm gonna lose some fish. I have no doubt I'm gonna break a couple off here, especially if we hook a big one. But I put it up there and I let that braid, the braid can cut through some of that grass lily pads, even some of the wood it'll get you around. And then having that liter of fluorocarbon with a little bit of abrasion resistance, if those fish wrap and you just gently lead them out, instead of horsing on them, you just gently let them pull themselves forward and out, you'll land a lot of fish doing that. So that's the setup we got here. We also have, like I just talked about, this hook is the VMC weedless Wacky hook. And this is a size 1. I don't go very big on the hook. It has the shank that I need and it has the gap I need here. And then these weed guards are perfect for around all this wood. I'll get hung up a couple times, but it also gets them hooked very good. And it almost keeps them on the hook like a keeper too, once you actually get one hooked. So we'll toss this thing around here. I'm gonna use this lime green braid on a very calm day like this. I've done a ton of videos on a Wacky rig, and I'll actually link one at the end of today if you wanna see what I'm doing with this to catch some fish. But I watch that braid lay on top of the water and wait for a fish to come grab it, and I just let it sit there. That's all I'm really doing. And then I'll bring it in and target cast it to something else. So let's keep working down the bank and see if we can catch us some more. The other thing I have on here is a VMC crossover ring and a size 5. This thing's perfect because you can see it'll literally hold your hook perfect perpendicular like that, but it also has another channel that runs this way. So if I wanted to Nico rig this, I could just take it off, move my hook and put a weight in here, and I'd be able to fish a Nico rig and not have to change my setup at all. And you can play around with if the fish want to wait in the bait, don't want to wait in the bait. You don't have to do a whole bunch of re-rigging to do that. You literally can just flip it right on the fly with what you got here. Oh no, oh no, she's way in there. She's wrapped. Got her off. That's why I use that heavy gear. Gonna have to retie, but I was able to at least get her in the boat. Decent one, not a big one, but we'll catch bigger ones hopefully. See you, buddy. Let's retie and then we'll talk about tip number 2. So tip number 2 is actually gonna come down to your retrieve with this bait. And honestly, more than retrieve, it's lack of retrieve. The biggest thing you can do with a wacky rig is let it sit in place. It's gonna do its thing, it's gonna shimmy its way down to the bottom, and that's how you're gonna get those bites. Now, like I said, I'm fishing this up here very shallow in like 2 foot of water or less. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it up there, let it sink to the bottom, and then I'm gonna hop it forward like that, like you just saw me do. I'm gonna bring it forward 5 or 6 feet, and I'm gonna let it fall again, just in case I catch the attention of a fish that's sitting up there. Sometimes when the initial splash hits the water, it might scare them a little bit because they are in such shallow water and they won't bite immediately. But when they get settled back in after a second and you move that bait, it'll catch their attention and it'll come over and get it. So I'm gonna let it sit there, let it lay, and then if I'll lift up and see if I have a fish on there. I don't, so I'll shake it a little bit, bring it forward. That'll kind of pop it up off the bottom and then it'll shimmy again and I'll let it sink down. That's what I did with that last one. You could see as soon as I did that, he bit it and took off with it, and that's when I set the hook and got him out of there. That's all I'm really gonna do. And then if I don't get bit, I'm bringing it back in. I don't need to sit there and fish this thing all day. I make very targeted casts with this. I want this bait to land exactly where I think a fish is going to be. If I don't think there's gonna be a fish there, I'm not making that cast at all. There we go. He ate it as soon as it hit the water. And now he's got me in a log. Oh, it came out. He's little, but the wacky rig always pulls through. I've been struggling to catch fish all day today. And we're getting them with the rig. Little one. See you, buddy. Now the last tip I'm gonna hit you with is making sure you choose the right bait. This is very important when you're fishing with a finesse bait like this. More importantly than anything is your color choice, because these fish are gonna get a good look at it. That one ate as soon as it hit the water. Some of these fish, they'll see it shimmering down and they'll swim over and just look at it and think about it before they bite it. So I really like to choose natural looking colors, or at least choose the right color for the conditions that you have. You can see the water conditions we have today, very dirty water. I actually went with like a two-toned approach. So I have a black and blue, green pumpkin. This is the 6th Sense Clout in a color called Nirvana. I'll link everything in the description below if you want to check any of it out. You can use my code Quince on the 6th Sense website, save 10% off your order, and it helps me out a ton. But today I want something with high contrast. So I have a light color on a dark color and the black and blue. I really want it to stand out so those fish can find it. If you're fishing very clear water, I would use something like a plain green pumpkin, watermelon red, something very natural like that. Most of these fish are gonna be eating bluegills that we're fishing for up here. So that's the reason why I'm going for these like bluegill type colors, whether it's the black and the blues, the green pumpkins, all those kind of colors like that. That's what I'm really looking for. Trying to mimic bluegills, perch, small little bait fish that might be up there. Realistically, the wacky rig probably doesn't mimic any of those very well. It's just a worm that shimmies really slow and is super finesse and will just always catch fish. It's a bait that I use and catch a ton of fish with. One other thing that I really like to do with my wacky rig baits, maybe it catches me 1 or 2 fish extra a day. I don't really know how to prove it, but what I do is I take a little bit of bait fuel and I put it in the bags of each of my 6th Sense Clouts and kind of smush it around. I'll put like a little drizzle in there and then I rub it around in the bag and let them marinate in it. I figure if those fish are gonna swim up and look at it and take a good look before they bite it, I might as well have something that at least has a little bit of scent to it. So maybe it's a little extra enticement to get them to bite that bait when they get up there to look at it. So choose a natural color, choose a bait that falls properly. I've talked about that before. But choose your favorite stick worm that you like to use and make sure you have a little bit of bait fuel on there so it has some scent when they find your bait. Let's see if we can get us some more. There we go. Another little one. But the wacky rig is pulling through on a slow day of fishing. Skip it under this tree and see if there's one up there. There is one. Got him. Oh my gosh. What is happening up there? I still have the fish and I have a tree. It's a little one too. What is happening? Fish has no clue what is going on. It's just like ate that and then got wrapped up in 97 sticks and doesn't understand what's happening. Also a little one. We're still gonna catch one bigger than this. There's two off the same tree, that's pretty cool. Little guy, see you, buddy. My line took 0 damage on that. That's crazy. That you can literally wrap fish up like that with a wacky rig and take 0 damage on your equipment. Another one, oh my gosh. Pounding them now. Another little one. We're on the 1-pounders. That O-ring keeps that bait on there like super perfect. I've caught, what, 3 or 4 in a row and haven't even had to put a new bait on. That's a big one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Look at that fish. Come on, buddy. That's a good one there. So next time you're out fishing, give these tips a try with your wacky rig and be catching some more bass just like this one here. If you want to learn all about how I like to rig this thing up and fish it, check this video out right here. Hit the subscribe button down below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.